Hey, good morning, folks. Welcome back to Deer Corner. Pull it, Pulling up here to the back pasture here at the house, and I call it a pasture. Years ago, they used to farm it, but when I bought the property and built the house here, I kind of just let it go for wildlife, and it gives me a place to deer hunt while I'm here at the house. And one of the things I've been reading about and looking in comments is when to plant a food plot, how to plant a food plot, what time, how late, how early. But maybe I could shine a little light on that food plot. Now, I plant food plots spring, summer, and fall. And I work them spring, summer, and fall. I just don't plant a food plot in the fall for deer season, and I may bring a little bit of that up why I don't do that. So just come along and let me just show you a little bit about food plots and what I have going and the reason why I'm doing them. So thanks for coming along, and we'll go on out here and I'll just show you a few odds and ends and how early, how late, and maybe I could shine a little light on that. But thanks for coming along. Hey, hello, welcome to my pasture. That's what I call it. Used to be a bean field. Um, they planted bean in it and they planted wheat in it years ago. But now it's my wildlife feed plot. And I mowed this 1st July and let it grow. And that's something I want to bring up to you about food plots. Do you need a food plot? Well, there again, that's going to depend on how much you hunt. Do you want to put the time, the money, the effort in planting a food plot? So you have to weigh it out how much you're going to hunt. And sometimes it's best not to have a food plot. Just find you a good tree, good spot, scout you out, sit down, put up a stand, and hunt it. But I hunt all the time. I hunt 3 months out of the year. I hunt about every day I can. Whether it's here, up in the mountains, Kentucky, Ohio, I'm hunting. So I put a lot of time and effort into my hunting, and I have my food plots. But let's get down to it. You can plant a food plot too early, because like what's behind me here, all this old growth, deer won't eat. So the deer like it when it's suckling, when it's just coming up out of the ground. They like it fresh. It's easier for them to eat, easier for them to digest. And as the world turns, whether people know it or not, at least here we're 2 weeks behind. It used to be you have it planted by Labor Day for hunting season. Well, that's kind of changed. Now you get it planted the day before Labor Day, and it's going to come up during deer season. And since the weather has changed a little bit, we got a couple weeks behind before the first good frost. Your food plot's going to end up growing up and basically getting old. The deer won't mess with it. So anytime you get a food plot in is good. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to be hunting several times through the whole deer season, the later you put that food plot in, the better you'll be, depending on your first frost, and also depending on what you're planting. A lot of your seed that you're planting will die off on a frost, but there is a lot of good seed out there, such as your winter wheat, winter oats. Deer do like it. Deer will eat it. that a frost won't bother it. You got clover out there that frost won't bother. So there is some seed out there that the frost won't bother. And therefore during deer season, like I'm saying, we're 2-3 weeks behind now on our weather, that it'll be growing into November and possibly even be grown into December. So to build up a good food plot to hunt, you need to actually look at the weather, look at what's going on and when to plant, because you can plant too early. And once that's grown up so far, the deer won't mess with it. But when it's coming up out of the ground, deer will be out there eating it. Now I can mow this, which I'm planning to in a couple weeks. Now I'll mow this down close to the ground as I can get it. And when I mow that night, the odor of mowing this down, this field will have deer in it. And the deer are getting in it and getting down to the bottom here to the old sucklings, to where it's just sprouting up, coming up out of the ground. And it'll come up all year. What I have in here, my field rise and pasture mix, it'll be coming up all year. But the older stuff, they won't touch. They won't mess with it. But once I mow it, and I get it down close to the ground and the young sucklings starting to sprout up, the deer will be all over it. So, and you're going to spend a lot of time, and you're going to spend a lot of money, especially these days, to put in a food plot. So you have to weigh it out as how much you're going to hunt, and is it going to be actually beneficial to you? Now the areas I hunt, what I have, I'm fortunate enough to own my own hunting ground. And like I say, I work it all year long. I work it spring, I work it summer, I work it fall. But going out and just throwing a food plot out, and you're going to hunt a couple times, it really isn't worth it. It may bring a deer into it, but you may be sitting on an empty food plot. But if you work that food plot all year long, them deer are in it all year long. So they come to it all year long. So if you're going to do a food plot, just doing it during deer season, you'll have more of a chance of bagging a deer off that food plot if you plant it all year long. You plant it in the spring for the summer, you plant it in the summer for the fall, you plant it in the fall for the winter. Therefore, you got the deer coming to that food plot all year. That's why my pasture mix that I put in this field, it comes up all year long. And once I mow this off, my winter rye, my winter grasses, my winter oats, all that starts coming up. It won't sprout in the hot weather, but it will sprout once it gets cooler. So as far as food plots go, you'll have to take a look at yourself. You have to actually look how much you are going to hunt, how much time you're going to spend. Because it does get quite expensive to put in a food plot, and if you don't manage it correctly, you're going to be sitting in a stand with nothing there. Now unfortunately out west, a lot of food plots that are planted, and they're not getting no rain. And that's just something that's happening to our weather. There's no rain, no moisture. Go out and spend the time, the effort, the seed to put it in the ground. You don't get no rain on it to germinate it. What little rain you get to germinate just evaporates. It don't soak into the soil. It's a bad situation. But here and in Kentucky and Ohio, our areas are doing pretty good. And we've been working them all year. And we had deer, and we do have deer in them all year long. And that's the thing about a food plot, is to use it all year long, just not during deer season. So you have a better chance of bagging a deer off that food plot instead of just planting it in the fall and hoping that a deer will walk out on it. But I hope to shine a little light on food plots I do know I do a lot of work on them, and they are expensive. So I'm glad you came along, and I hope to see you again. And thanks to the subscribers. And you all have a good day. And just remember, so if you're in the woods, be safe. You'd rather be safe than sorry, because things can happen, and they have. And hope to see you again.